Yo,
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another segment of A Game Talks. It's your boy Adi, and today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, uh, entrepreneur, hustler, as well as he drops some fire beats. Fire music. Rod Stackz. Welcome to the A Game Studio, man.
what's up? Glad to be here, man. Long time coming. I know this has been a journey for both yourself and a year. So just glad to be on this platform right now.
Definitely, man. I think, however, like truth be told, I don't think I would have it any other way. I think anything that's like worth fighting for, you're gonna have a lot of knockout punches, man. It's just can you like withstand that? And kind of like today, man, I think that's a cool way to kind of lead into what we wanted to talk about, right? Obviously, we're going through like a global pandemic. We have another huge fight that's been going on for a longer time than the pandemic, but racial inequality, right? So those are two huge things that are currently going on, right? And that are affecting, day-to-day lives. So that's, people losing their jobs, people fighting, our brothers and sisters to have an equal opportunity in this country. And there's like a lot of moving parts, right? But I think at the same time, it's still important to keep track of like your goals and aspirations, right? It's like kind of how you choose to look at this time, right? I think in every recession, kind of every downtime, there's people who come ahead and there's people who go behind. Like, and it really just goes to show like there's no stagnation, right? So would love to kind of pick your brain apart about kind of like, the pulse of like what's going on right now.
Definitely. So, it's a crazy time we're living in, right? One is like with the whole COVID-19 situation, and then the whole, the country shutting down, the economy shutting down. What do we do in terms of that? 40 million people unemployed at the current moment. And then we dive into, a lot of injustices going on. Rest in peace to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. You're seeing these names come up and you're seeing these situations come up that are just impacting us on a social level, which is like really, really unfortunate, where, we're so many years apart from like these major moments in civil rights history. Like, Martin had a dream, like, his landmark speech. And, we were rooting for racial equality for 40, 50 years now, maybe longer than that, of course, maybe 200 years, and for it to come full circle in terms of just the overall revolution to start again, which is always great because we're getting these changes every day. We're seeing these changes, right? And it's really amazing to see that people or corporations, the government is making some changes. So that's really great. And then you and me, we're supporting the cause as well, for our Black brothers and sisters. So I really think that's a really important mission that we have to make, in being that support and being that support system for them in this time. So that's just important. I've already protested of peaceful protests, just supporting as much as I can in terms of that. So yeah, it's a crazy time that we're living in terms of that.
Definitely. And I know obviously like with kind of the tragic incidents like George Floyd and like Breonna Taylor, like I think, and with the pandemic, I think this is giving people time to think, kind of just working from home and kind of like being forced to be at home, right? So kind of like how have you been able to like find ways to be better than you were before? Right? 'Cause I think it's important to highlight, the positive aspects of the situation too, if any.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think the whole injustices going on is creating anything positive for anybody. So I
Right.
don't think that's had much impact for me. But in terms of just the coronavirus and the whole pandemic, like that has just been like a resurgence of my ambition, right? So I think that like in the first part of coronavirus, everything was shutting down. I was like kind of underestimating what was going on. I was like, this is gonna be closed for like a week or two. Nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna just think this is like something that's gonna blow overnight. That's what they were telling us, right? They were like, yo, this is gonna be, I don't know, what was it, a week, 2 weeks? They were saying this is gonna be closed, something like that.
Like a month, they were saying at the most, and then like, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like it was like, okay, a month is gonna pass by. We're gonna be cool. Then month passed by and then still nothing's happening. The economy's like crashing down. The job market's going crazy. One of my main businesses is in the job market. So I'm like, shit, like what are we going to do? So that just made me rethink everything that I'm doing. And in that time, worked on multiple ideas and iterating of ideas and actually just worked harder than I ever worked before for the last 3 months. This is my first time getting a haircut in about 3 months. I did it for this interview. So, you know what I mean? That was it's just a crazy time, but just, you know, letting this economic time and this, you know, depressing time, not letting it affect you mentally is where you kind of need to be in terms of that, you know?
Definitely. I think, right. Obviously, again, like you mentioned, like none of the like kind of the racial inequality and like those injustices, like there's nothing positive there, right? We're driving towards positive change. We want that to happen as soon as possible. But I think with the pandemic, kind of just having these time just to think, right? I'm sure like even with your busy schedule and like even for me, like working, right? It's like as cliche as it is, the day to day, like you're just so focused on that routine, right? And you know, in spurts, like during the weekend, you may have time to like think about things, but like now it's like you really have a chance to like question, like, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? How does this map to like where I want to be? Or like even does it map to where I want to be? Right. So I think it's important for sure.
Yeah, no, dude, definitely. It's like my routine was very different. Like before the quarantine, like it's just waking up, going to the working during the day, going to the gym, like maybe afternoon time, and then like going back to work and then kind of like sleeping. But ever since like the whole quarantine things happening, I'm just waking up, going to work, and just coming back. And it's been like some of the longest days I've worked in years, and it's been great though. Like I think it's been really good for me in terms of just getting that discipline in. I do struggle with that as well though. It's like just like, you know, it gets mundane and it kind of gets boring at sometimes too. So you have like your little strikes, like a week here and there that you're just not at your fullest potential. So, you know, breaking through those cycles is important, you know?
Definitely. And
Yeah.
kind of like you touched upon it, right? I think with that, right? Kind of like how have you like forced yourself to be in like uncomfortable situations to grow? Like you said, right? It's like, you know, like you said, like, you know, one of your main businesses kind of being in the job search, you know, market, it's like, you know, that's taking a hit, you know, it's getting better, but it's definitely taking a hit, right? It's kind of like, how have you been able to like act fast, right? On instincts. I think it's one thing to like have ideas, but, you know, I think the value of an idea is execution. So kind of like, how have you been able to like pivot and like adjust in a short time?
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, just in that time, it's like you got to think of like, what can I do? What can I do to like kind of if like everything's depending on me, like what can I do to make some money out of this situation, or what can I do to like kind of pivot, right? So I think in certain businesses you cannot pivot. You just gotta create something else. So just this whole time I was figuring out, like first couple of weeks, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like I gotta think of something else. So in that time, thought of something else, worked on like 5 to 6 different ideas, and then those 5 to 6 ideas that, you know, you start wide and then you kind of cut down from there. So we're just focusing on, you know, what can we do to essentially bring some different revenue streams and create some new avenues that we can get some money on. And you know, it's been really lucrative, and we're still working on some pretty nice projects right there. But you know, really what I wanted to do was bring that also into my internal self and kind of like, you know, push myself forward of like, you know, working and setting out metrics for my own self, and kind of like putting my own goals to myself. Cause I believe in like mental toughness, and I believe in like discipline, and I believe in work ethic. I really believe in, you know, doing that. So with that, I'm releasing like an album now, which is gonna, it was supposed to come out today, but it's gonna come out most likely next week. So, you know, I was just refocusing on like, how can I go a little bit wider? And I was like, yo, you know, music, I'm still gonna put out and give some people some good stuff to do. So I'm gonna, you know, that was pretty much a focus of mine. So in this time, I've actually recorded about 3 albums worth of stuff, and I've been working really hard on that. So, you know, I'm dropping one of them and got 3 more to go after that. So I know, long-winded answer to your question, but yeah.
Yeah. Breaking news, new album coming out next week.
You did. This is breaking news right here. We just announced it.
That's
New album coming out. You did.
only way to go, man. Kind of, I like how you touched upon like kind of like the internal leadership part of things. I think when you look at it, there's 2 types of leaders. There's like the wartime leaders and like there's the peacetime leaders. I think it's easier to obviously, you know, like have like your chest like powdered out and like, you know, be confident when things are going well. But when stuff hits the fan is when you're like, okay, we really get to see like kind of who has that level of conviction to kind of make things like trial and error and like, you know, ultimately adapt. Because I think with this COVID, another thing that's probably come out of it is like innovation and kind of being able to pivot. like you see all these like companies kind of being able to work from home. Kind of like there's certain industries that are thriving right now if you look at it, right? Compared to
Yeah, like big tech, dude. Like look at Netflix, Apple, Google. All these companies are really raking it in, even Facebook. Um, and it's crazy. Like a lot of companies are taking advantage of it right now, where they're doing so good. They're even cutting off their staff, and then they're just increasing their profits. So there's a lot of money being made, and there's a lot of people being hurt by it too. So the rich get richer, and the poor do get poorer in times like this. Sadly, you know.
unfortunately, right? But kind of just back to the music, I think, that's a huge part of you and your identity, right? So it's like kind of how does like your creative process like normally like prior to a pandemic versus like now? Do you feel like kind of with this additional time to think, like you've been able to kind of come up with like ideas and stories that you want to capture through your music that you wouldn't normally have before? Or do you feel like it's kind of like the same routine, like you have a set way that you kind of get to those like ideas like for creating music and content?
Nah, dude, super good idea. Good point. Yeah, actually, this made me think different. Like, I was like, how can I kind of come in and do something different from what I've always been doing? And then that's the evolution of like my music. So like, right now, like I don't know, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I dropped like this little freestyle where I did something funny on Instagram, right? And it ended up really getting a lot of views and a lot of comments, tons of shares, the most engaged post that I've ever posted in all of my years on Instagram. I've been on there for about like, I don't know, 8 years now, right? Whatever, however long it's been out. And it is just came from me like thinking, like how you said, like, thinking different in this time. Like I needed to think of like outside the box. Like how do I, get attention in terms of like my skills and put a little twist to it. So I think I'm just finding my identity too. It's like maybe people really like the personality. What is the comedy? Like, and then how can I fuse that with my rap skills? So that was one thing, and I loved it. Like it turned out great, and now it's got me thinking of like what more can I do with like just my personality, and what more can I do with just the comedic side of things, and I'm working on something big in terms of that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear, man. And, like for those of you who haven't listened to Raj's stuff, check it out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube now too. Man, it really covers it all from like business to like funny TikTok videos. So definitely, if you got some free time, check them out.
Definitely. It's crazy because I wanted like kind of like my goal last year was like really to get into like just more business talk and kind of marry that business world with like kind of music and I think that's great, and I think someone will come in do it, or maybe that'll be like a reinvention of myself later. But right now, I kind of want to just enjoy my youth and enjoy, just the entertainment side of things. So I'm taking a little bit of a side for my business content on my main profile, but I am creating like a university for people. So if they do want to learn how they can, have a business, how they can learn some of the skills like marketing and sales and stuff like that. We are definitely launching something like that. And we're going to do a collaboration with A Game. So everybody be ready for that. So yeah, man, I think that things like that go hand in hand though. Like if like this is like A Game is a perfect example, right? It's a media company. We're creating this content right now, but what's going to fuel this content, or what's going to get people to watch this content, is the marketing, right? Is like either me posting, your team posting it, or someone outside finding this from like a Google search, right? It's like marketing and the sales aspect of everything is the bread and butter of getting successful no matter what you do. So just understanding that principle is like the most important thing that anybody out there can, get from me, that I can give to people. And yeah, man. So that's still the message though. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And for everyone listening, that's golden gem number one right there. Marketing and sales is a necessity. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity from now on. And so kind of with that, man, it's like, do you feel like you see businesses, and including yourself, do you feel like you have to market and kind of like sell yourself differently now before the pandemic? Or do you feel like it's just more like you're doubling down on kind of like what was working before?
Just depends on the business, right? I work with like multiple business founders. Like I work with a lot of founders in different spaces. I do a lot of mentorship with different founders in different industries. And kind of what I've learned is like um, the weak, the people who don't have that foundation, right? And they have like a weak foundation, they're going to hurt the most because they don't really know. They already weren't, strong in their marketing or sales funnel anyways. And then like the people who are really strong, they find a way to adjust. And it's okay to be weak in the beginning sometimes, and it's okay to just be like not the expert in sales or marketing, but it's just finding like, what do your customers actually want, right? Like, what do people actually want? What service are they going to, if you have a service, what aspect of that service can you kind of translate into and provide that to your clients, right? So when I come in, like I've done a strategy for some companies that like they build apps or they build companies or build products for companies, but they're like not getting any business, even though that they're like outsourcing stuff. So like I'll come in and like tell them like, hey man, like, you're outsourcing this product, and this is actually something that people need at this time. You need to focus on that. So I think it's like looking at the situation, no matter if it's the pandemic right now or things go back to normal later. It's just always identifying your situation and kind of like catering your message to those people on their specific needs, right? So it always comes down to the customer. Like, yeah, you have a product and you're a person or you're a service. That doesn't matter. It's the customer at the end of the day and what they need and how you can provide value to them. And that sounds crazy because I used to like listen to conversations like where people are like, yeah, if you can provide value to your customers, that's all that matters. But that's like, it literally is the only point that matters is like, yo, what can you provide to someone else that's only as good as you are, so no matter if it's today, tomorrow, or anything else like that, if you can provide value to people, that's all that matters, so just find what you can provide value in the current time, like have these conversations, and then people will start paying you for that, you know what I mean? So I think that's something that people can do in terms of that, focusing their channels, finding out what they can do, what values they bring, and do that.
Most definitely, man. I think it's important. I think you have to understand. I think now more than ever, you have to truly understand whether you're working for someone else, you have your own thing. Like, what is that true like value proposition? It doesn't necessarily have to be unique. It's like, what is that value proposition that you're bringing to the table that people will find of interest and need, right? Because as you're seeing right now, like unfortunately, you see these companies like Airbnb, like Uber, Lyft, and like kind of obviously because of like the pandemic, they're taking a hit right now. So it's like kind of how recession / ultimately like of much of a need based business you're in, I think plays a huge part too.
Exactly. That's where A game comes in though, right? We're giving this fire content to the people who need it. And if you're smart, you're listening into A game all the time because they got the people who have like the smart information. But hey, it is what it is.
Love, man. Actually, a question I've been meaning to ask, man, for you. I think kind of like with that time, right, you see people now like they're trying to build their side hustles, kind of just, figure out ways to kind of make ends meet, right? But I think fundamentally, do you feel like anyone can truly be like a successful entrepreneur, or do you feel like it's not everyone, it's not for everyone? Like the innate ability, like can anyone be a successful entrepreneur in your opinion, or do you feel like that's something that kind of not you're born with per se, but like kind of just some people have that knack and others don't, like to really grow something?
Right. So I like to use the word like it depends on the word entrepreneur, right? Like
Okay.
that's also like right. I know in our conversations I'm very specific on like goal, like what is the end goal, and kind of reverse engineering. It's like anybody can be anybody. So I want to rephrase that question that you have, right? From can everybody be an entrepreneur to can everybody achieve their dreams? Because essentially it's the same thing, right?
Sure.
So like if someone's in a business, um, you know, or someone wants to be a business person, can they create a successful business? Or if someone's an artist, can they become a successful artist and live off their art, right? I think everybody is capable of achieving their dreams. Okay. And not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be an artist, right? But I think everybody can achieve their dreams. So if your dream is to become a entrepreneur, you can 100% do it. If your dream is to be an artist, you can 100% do it. Your dream is to be a keto vlogger for YouTube, you can do it, right? Whatever the specific the thing is, it's just understanding that there's a lot of work that comes with anything you do. And if you pick at your problem or whatever you want to do with like a like a tiny spoon, and it's like a mountain of food, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So you have to just apply pressure, bro. Like honestly, that's all I tell anybody is like you gotta apply pressure. Like if you're not like if you like for me, I'd kill myself before I fail. Or like actually like not try to achieve my dreams. Like every second of the day, that's all I'm thinking about. Right. And if you have that same motivation and that same dedication, you can achieve your dreams. And I think everybody can achieve their dreams. It just depends on how hard you work on it, right? And that's the thing. So in terms of your question, can everybody achieve their dreams? Yes, they can. They just have to put the work in, you know?
Definitely. And I think Patrick Bet says has a really good way of putting it. Like, for example, right? So you take like an NBA player like Isaiah Thomas, right? Like now he can make the NBA, he can be like a solid like player, but not everyone's going to be Michael Jordan, right? Because there's certain things that's just like God give. Just like a lot of things have to go into that, right? So like likewise, not everyone will be Elon Musk, but to your point, can you create a way to like live your dreams, whatever capacity, like definitely. But it's just like you said, you just have to chip away at it. So I think there's a level of self-awareness and kind of like there are certain people that are just outliers, but I think for those outliers, a lot of moving parts kind of go into that. Which is why not everyone is an outlier, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And plus, like, yo, people get so stuck up on trying to be like someone else. Like they want to be like Elon Musk so badly or something like that, you know, and they look at these people and they want to like follow exactly what they did and do exactly what they do and achieve to their dreams. Dude, that's that guy's dream. You know what I mean? Like be true to yourself. Like what do you want to do? You know, like take a look at yourself in the mirror, like, hey, what does my ideal life look like? And kind of reverse engineer from there. Like because at the end of the day, bro, you and me, we're finite energy on this planet, right? Adi's gonna be here for a limited time. Stackz is gonna be here for a limited time. And that's the way we're designed. And I think that if we can just take advantage of our situation, our finite time that we have, and just apply it to becoming the best version of ourselves and creating the best reality for ourselves, I think that's all that matters. You know what I mean? So people need to stop getting caught up on looking at other people and envisioning their life to be like that other person's, right? There's a guy named Naval Ravikant. I really love him. He's the founder of AngelList, right? And he talks about the situation where he's like, if you look at someone and you envy something about them, like envy their skill or envy their life, you have to look at every aspect of their life, right? And see, would you want every belief that this person has? Do you want every desire that this person has? Do you want the whole aspect of their life, right?
Right.
And most likely you look at that and you're like, nah, I don't want every aspect of that person's life. I just want certain aspects, right? So then you can't be envious of someone because you don't want every aspect of their life. So it's just, you know, being true to yourself. So I would just try to remain as true to yourself as possible. I know it's so hard, especially with the days of social media where we're looking at everybody at all times and being like, yo, look at this guy, he hasn't made, or this girl, she hasn't made, or this person's happier than me, everybody's healthier than me. Like it's so tough, you know what I mean? But just having that tunnel vision for yourself and keeping yourself at mind is all that matters. You know what I mean?
Beautifully said, my man. Because
Thank
again,
you.
everyone has different, like literally everyone has a different goal. Like I'm solving for X, you're solving for Y. So somewhere along the way, they're gonna be different
Yep.
checkpoints and milestones or KPIs or whatever you want to say. So if I feel some type of way because you hit your milestone on the way to solving for Y, and like my path is totally different, it's like, what am I doing, right? I think, like you said, we have a short amount of time on this planet. I think this pandemic is really showing that, and you really do just have to go all in on you. Just go all in on you and live with no regrets. I think that's like the best way to go about it.
Exactly. And plus it's like, yo, as a human, it's so hard to like see other people's wins and not like be like, damn, I should have got that too. Or like, I wanted that win or I aspired to that win, right? Because you want wins. Like as a driven person, you want wins, right? And when you see other people winning or other companies winning, even if it's a competition or someone you think is shittier than you want that win. So it's so hard to like not look at something and not want it. So it's totally made natural, you know what I mean, in terms of that.
Of course, and I think that's just being a competitive person. You look at everything, but at the same time, like you said, you have to. If you can't gauge A to Z on that person, then I don't think it's a fair assessment, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, that's like the fifth golden gem right there, folks. So definitely be taking notes through this. Yeah, man. It kind of just like, for those who didn't really have a chance to like, and I know you like on social media, you really kind of talk about a lot of what you're currently working on, right? But kind of like, where did that work ethic, that why, like, what motivates Raj Stackz presently, right? Kind of like, where did that drive to, want to make something of yourself and like really, reach your potential come from?
Good question. Um, I think of that too, right? Like I think of like where does that come from? Like, and I look at people around me. I look at some of my family members. I look at like some of my friends. Some people have it, some people don't. And I just try to figure out like what makes me different, like what makes me tick. And I really think it comes down to adversity, right? I think that I had like a lot of adversity coming up, like from like just being a kid living in the East Coast. Like I used to live in Maryland, and then I grew up with my cousins. It was nicer. It was cool. And then when I moved to California when I was like 9 years old, I came here all by myself. I didn't have any family. I didn't have any friends. I lived in a little city that no one knew about. I was like the only Indian kid in school. I was always getting picked on, and I was, like I didn't have anybody to look up to. I was just trying to fit in, but I couldn't fit in. It was so weird, right? I think that gave me the drive because it was like, yo, dude, like I gotta accomplish something. I gotta do something to work. Like I gotta do something. Like it doesn't matter what it is. I gotta just become the best version of me, right? Um, I think that maybe, and I also think that like comes from my parents too. Like I've been seeing my parents grind all their lives. Both of them, like my very little education. Like what I mean. Like my mom had me when she was like 19, so she didn't get to go to college. She had to take care of me. My dad came to this country when he was like in his teenage years, and he was a breadwinner of his house, so he had to go straight to work. So just having those parents that are always grinding kind of shows you like, yo, you gotta grow hard too, because your parents didn't go through all what they went through just for you to fucking live a mediocre life. So that's really what drives me, and of course just becoming the best version of me. It drives me, and I feel like I'm not there yet, and I'm gonna be there. I just need to keep pushing myself to get there, because the hardest battle is never your competitor or the market or anything. The hardest battle is always here. It's always here.
Definitely. I think that's, I think honestly, like we talk about competition, I think your biggest competition is the one in the mirror, right? Because we all can get up and be fired up on days we feel hyped, we feel juiced. But what about that random Wednesday in March after you had like your career month? Are you still going to
Yep.
be juiced? Like kind of like, so I think it's those things that really separate those people. No, it was great, man, to hear about like family. I definitely think family is a huge why as well.
Yep. It's a lot of factors, right? Just your goals, your family, and your upcoming, and not being satisfied. I think not being satisfied is one of the biggest drives that that can take you to the next level. So like we were having that discussion earlier, you know what I mean? Like just
Right.
don't be satisfied.
True, definitely. But I guess on the contrary side, right, kind of how do you that balance that the drive for more, but also being grateful? I think that's something like I've had conversations with my parents and just kind of other people where it's like at times we tend to take things that are good for granted, but it's like more like I guess I don't personally vocalize them enough, I guess, but it's like kind of like what's your thoughts on that? Like kind of how do you balance like that counting your blessings but also striving for more?
Right. So my approach to this is kind of like Grant Cardone's, right? Right. Where it's like, yo, but it's different, right? Whereas like I'm always grateful, I'm very thankful. Always wake up and give my gratitude to God. I think of things that I'm just grateful for, but then also I don't let that gratefulness like make me comfortable with where I am. You know what I mean? Like, because the second you get comfortable, and I've gotten comfortable. Like last year, I was so comfortable. That was the biggest mistake I ever made. Um, that's where you have to be. Like you want to be grateful for what you have, but don't get comfortable. I think that's the balance for it. Like be like, hey, thank you God for giving me what I have, but what I mean. Like I still got a lot more to get. From this world while I'm here.
No, that's completely accurate, man. Like the way I see it is like, man, like I'm too blessed to play it safe. And my parents did way too much to get here for me to just like coast. And
Exactly.
I go crazy if I just coasted. Like I always feel like I'm not doing enough. And like honestly, I probably could be doing 10 more things. So like I feel you on that. It's like I think it's more the love of the game, if that makes sense, like of reaching your potential. Because I think I think once you have that inherent like desire and like for the pursuit of your potential, I don't think you'll ever stop. If that makes sense.
Exactly, exactly, and that plays a big role. Just being driven and hungry and grateful at the same time. So it's hard balance to have, but it is what it is.
I kind of as like as you've been on your journey, right? Kind of how do you balance the friends and family aspect, right? I think we hear this saying of like you're the average of the five people that you spend the most time with, right? And so obviously like in this pandemic, that's probably family, and like maybe
Yep.
friends. So it's like I think there's a way to kind of have friends who may not see the world as you and kind of have that same drive. But does it necessarily mean like you cut them off? Or I guess kind of how have you balanced like that dynamic over the years?
Right. So I posted something about this like a few days ago, where it's like, yo, you are the sum of who you hang out with. So you have two options: either don't hang out with them or boss the people up around you, right? That's the approach that I take. There's a lot of people that I had friends for years that didn't make it to 2020 with me. You know what I mean? Like, uh, and I'm okay with that, and I'm super proud of that. There's friends that I'm thankful that I cut off early on. Like, I when I was younger, like, in my teens, I did have a little bit of a drug problem, and like getting off those, like, it was not really drugs. It was mostly just smoking weed, and then popping a little bit of pills here and there. But it was more so like I needed to cut out those friends that are doing that stuff, and I learned that from a young age, like 17. Like, yo, I got to cut them off, and go find someone else that, like, they don't do that, and they don't do that. And I think that's how you got to live your life too. Like, right, you got to find friends that either inspire you. One of my friends, he's shout out Antonio. He's out in Korea right now, and he's like balling out of control. Like, and when I go hang out with him in LA, like, I like to see like his work ethic, because he's working like crazy too. So just, you got to be around those people that drive you, and you got to get away from the negative people that kind of hold you back, and just like suck, don't provide anything back. And you also got to be careful from the people who are too my belief, at least, is that, like, I think you need to stay away from people who are too comfortable with like just being okay. Like, if you want to be an all-star, right? Like, if Adi wants to be an all-star, and he wants to have his A game every day, and he wants to, like, be the best performer he can be and live to his potential. You can't have those people who around you who are like, yo, I'm okay with just being okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy with what I have, and I don't really see myself. And then you also want to stay away from the people who talk about wanting to have XYZ, but don't put any actions behind it. So just being conscious of that, it is super important. I know
Definitely.
you felt that point.
I think Eric Thomas says the best. Shout out to ET. He's like, I want to be around people who can put up 50 each themselves. Like I want to be with the guy who can drop 50 in Chicago, Detroit,
Yeah.
Boston, freaking Singapore, like all over. Like why I want to be around that environment. And kind of to you said, right, believe honestly, bro, like we live in an era that's lack of action. I think truly anyone, give or take, if you have access to the internet, you can educate yourself to a certain extent on like different things. It's truly what are you
Yeah.
going to do with that information? And so I think no, that's important, man. I think that's why for me at least I try to be as congruent as possible. Because at the end of the day, like I said, right, you can't BS yourself. Like only you can look in the mirror and be like, I'm either on my A game or I'm full of crap. Like, and so yeah, definitely that's the best accountability I feel like you can have.
100%, dude. And it's like back to your point of like, how do you balance, like, how do you find that balance of family and friends? Like, I feel like I have horrible balance in that. Like, I see my girlfriend like like twice a week, and then all my time is just spent working. And then like I spend time with my family on the weekdays and stuff like that. It's not as much as I want it to be, but it's a good amount. And I have a really good relationship with my parents. I would like a better relationship with my parents, better relationship with my friends, better relationship with my family. But and then that's something I need to be conscious of. because I'm super focused right now, but I feel like I need to, still spend a little bit more time with my friends and family. Like, I just like to, I don't know, it's weird, right? I don't know if you're like this too, but like I have my close, like, friend circle, like just like a few, like maybe 3 or 4 friends mostly. And then the rest of everybody's like really acquaintances. Like, are you the same way? Like, I don't know, how does that work with you?
That's accurate, man. I think like, especially for me, I think the biggest transition going from like college where like you have a huge people, like, anywhere you go, like, a lot of people, right? To now it's like, it's crickets for the most part. And you only really talking to, like you said, like that's like few. And I think
Yeah, dude, like
that's
in college, you had like what, 9 people living with you? How many people lived with you guys in college?
I live and I mean 7 total, but like, no, I was pretty active, right? I was in like a fraternity, I
Yeah,
was a club officer,
dude.
you, right? Like, so I think again, like just going from that to like now, like
Yeah.
it's like you see, and I think that's like the best way. I think obviously, like for me, I think you want that crew that can really just who's about that life, like, from A to Z. Like, and I think I'm learning too. It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything, and I'm guilty of not, being on point all the time, right? It's like if you have a messy room, it's gonna reflect in your work somehow, some way. My mom taught me that, and I'm still working on that. But like, yeah, it's I guess for sure.
Dude, same. I moved in the last week, like moved houses, and my room's a wreck, my car's a wreck. I haven't worked as hard as I wanted to this week too, and I definitely believe what your mom said right there. I think that's real. Like, that's accurate. One thing is how you do everything. It's crazy.
For sure, man. I want to touch upon an earlier point. I think you talked about kind of like having not the split personality, but like kind of having more the business side of you versus like the artist side, right? Do you feel like now like there's that chance to kind of be that full personality like more than before? Because I don't know, like, you see like I think if I see like Drake or just kind of these prevalent artists dropping gems on like business and like stuff, I think more people are inclined to like listen to that as well, right? Kind of. So what's your take on like kind of having to play two different like lanes separately, or do you feel like you can
So,
just be?
yeah, it's so crazy because I was like really thinking that like I could, like, you could probably marry the two worlds, and I feel like in some way you can. Someone's gonna do it. I don't know if I'm gonna do it, and I don't think I want to do it anymore. But I think that, like, as an aspiring artist or someone that like wants to become great, like, you should always know about business and like the back end of like any financial dealings that you have with anybody, or just, like the indications, like, of how you can put yourself at the best leverage point. Because at the end of the day, like, as much leverage as you have in an opportunity is like as much like that's like kind of like how you get paid the most. You know what I mean? Like, if I come into the building with some money already in my pocket, you can't like finesse me out of like a small bag, right? Because I come in with leverage. So I think just being up on the business is always good. Um, Only thing is, I don't see a crossover between the people in the business world and the people within like the artistic world, right? Because I feel like my fans, like, or like people that I deal with in the industry, it's totally different worlds, right? Because when I first came into this corporate world, like, which is very new to me,
Right.
um, maybe 2 years max. Like, I came from a whole different world. Came from jewelry, where it's like super, like, I'm selling to consumer. It's very personal level. And now I'm like on a business tip where I'm working with multi-billion-dollar corporations. Those people within those buildings maybe not will not respect like a person like myself, and kind of like what we do in terms of that. But like the fans on this side that like really love rap music, and they really love like getting these gems when it comes to businesses, those people will love it, and I think they have like the most care for it. These people are in it all day, they're not really invested in it. But the fans and stuff like that, people like yourself, like, where you love music and you love the media side of things, and then you're still in the business world, you know what I mean? I think those are the people who would appreciate it the most. And it's just like it's tough when you're dealing with some of these big companies, because like last year I made a bit of a mistake. I won't touch on it, but like I learned from my mistakes in terms of that too. So it's a tough line to cross, but we'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes.
I completely agree, but I also think too, like the times are changing. I think from a corporation standpoint, like, yeah, there's certain, old school, like kind of very conservative corporations, but I also think, right, like if you look at it now, those influential people on social media have value to add. They have a following. Like if you're like an artist, like, and you can bring 10, 20 million people, like you can put that in front of someone, that's tangible and that's valuable. And I think corporations are trying to tap into that, like that market. And I think that's definitely changing how like marketing at the business level changes too.
100%. And that's like come back to our conversation with leverage, right? Leverage, like personally, Jay-Z, they got so much leverage. He has so much leverage coming into these businesses. Like, you want to do business with Jay-Z, you know, you want to do business with Kanye, you want to do business with someone who's proven the track record. But until you've proven that track record, you have no leverage coming into the business world yet. You know what I mean? So you gotta build your path on both sides, and then use your leverage on one side. So either if this is my business, I can use this on leverage for music, or I can use my music as leverage on business. But you can't like be mid-level where you have no leverage. So you have to find leverage on one side and kind of use them against each other, you know?
Definitely. That's like golden gem number 10 at this point, folks. Other thing, man, to shed light on you in a positive way, it's like, you know, Raj has to go to a couple like, you know, Complex Con, I believe, and some other like, you know, just shows and kind of just like kind of events where you've run into some heavy hitters. So kind of like, could you talk about like, you know, meeting like Gary-Vee and kind of these other people that you've met, like kind of like, what were your impressions before going to those events and like meeting them in person, versus like actually having a chance to, you know, like actually even record some content with these guys?
Yeah, so I think last year's Complex Con like was crazy because I've done so many interviews with so many people. I haven't even released some. I have some amazing ones with St. John and Don C that I haven't recorded, dropped yet. Need to. I have one with Steve Aoki I didn't do. One with A-Track I didn't release yet. I just like been slipping on releasing them, but I will. I think that was an amazing experience running into these people. So give you a little bit of context before we go to that.
Sure.
I've been randomly running into actors and rappers all my life. Oddly, like I ran into, like when I was in India when I was a little kid. Do you know who Juhi Chawla is? She's like a Indian actress. She's like a really prevalent like Indian actress at one time in the 90s. And I was like a little kid. I was like 7 years old. And she was just walking out the airport, like coming off a plane. And no one recognized her. She got no makeup on. She got jeans and a shirt on. She doesn't look anything like she looks in the movies. This is a movie. This is like an India airport, right? There's a million people in this motherfucking airport right here. All right. She comes walking by. No one knows her. She's almost out the door. A little old American me, you know, comes up. I'm like, yo, Juhi Chawla, how are you doing? Oh my God. I run up to her, right? Blow her old spot up. Everybody's like, it causes commotion. Everybody's looking at like, what? Oh my God, Juhi Chawla's in the airport. Everybody's looking all of a sudden, right? I walk her to the door. I walk her to her car, and she's like, "Oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much." And then she gave me a hug and dipped. But like, since I was a little kid, I would have like these weird like occurrences where I'd be able to like spot people, and like in a room full of where no one like can spot these people. I do somehow. So no matter where I've gone or what I've done, I ran into everybody. Almost every rapper that you can imagine right now that's out here and is pretty popular, from Little Tecca to Future, I've met. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'll randomly run out, meet them. Like Little Tecca, I was celebrating my birthday in New York, and I was outside a restaurant, and then I just walked out, and this dude's just sitting on the sidewalk outside my restaurant. I was like, Lil Tecca? He's like, yeah, what's up, bro? Gave him dap. I was like, yo, I love your song, Ransom. We talked for like 2 seconds and I dipped. You know what I mean? It was like, I ran into these people randomly. Like Future, like I ran into him, his cousin, like randomly, outside of outside of a hotel. And then we ended up talking, and then he introduced me to Future. And then I ended up getting like this tour pass to Future's tour. And then Future and Drake, it was Drake's tour. Future was on it, and then they gave me this pass, and I didn't take it. I was such a dummy. I didn't know that if you get a backstage pass for one concert, you can go on the whole tour with that same backstage pass, bro.
Wow.
I did. Yeah. But yeah, touching back on this, on the whole meeting these people, right? So I think Gary-Vee is awesome. I think he's like a really good, you know, he really knows how to work content, right? He knows how to produce content at scale. He knows how to market the content. Key thing. right? Because like everybody, like what he does at like ComplexCon, he's not standing there for his health, right? He does like a thing. Well, I don't think he did it this year, but 2 years ago he did this thing where he almost met every single person in that ComplexCon line, and people are taking pictures with him. He knows that's an opportunity that he can take pictures with these people. They're gonna post it on his social media. Hey, I met gary-vee, and he got it spread across, right? So, and I met so many people, but I think gary-vee is really smart because he understands how the internet works. He understands how marketing is done, and he understands like how he can game the system. So people like that are the people you should watch, like, and those are the people you should learn from. Also, I met like rappers that are like C-level rappers that have so much potential but don't go anywhere. And I ask them about marketing, they don't know anything about it. They rely on their label. So it just depends, bro. That's why I think Tekashi is always winning, because he knows how to market. Kanye is always winning because he knows how to market. Drake knows how to market. So Little Uzi knows how to market. So stuff like that.
There's a reason why they're there, right? Now it makes sense. I think one of my favorite clips I remember seeing was like how you talked about how you listened to kind of Gary Vee's advice and you had like your video go viral on TikTok. So I'd love to hear more about that and kind of tell the folks kind of a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so dude, I dropped this Indian song, Naltuaja, like last year, the same time. I think same time last year, and I didn't know what TikTok was at that time, right? I didn't have an account. That was my stupidity, also. I didn't have an account on TikTok, but I guess one of our fans liked it on TikTok, and they posted a TikTok, and that TikTok of them doing a little, it was like a walk, it was like a walk, like the whole thing was like, the girl walks away from the camera like all illustrious and stuff like that, and then like the song plays in the background, so that like caught on, and then like this song started getting like millions of plays on TikTok, and tons and tons, like thousands of people are doing little videos to it. So it was really cool, but I didn't really capitalize much off it myself. My account didn't grow off it. My song just went viral on there. But it was really cool to see, like, like once we saw that TikTok was working, we applied a little bit more pressure on it. So we got some influencers to do some stuff on it, and then the fire just increased from there. And then that parlayed into our YouTube video. So our YouTube videos at like 800K, something like that on the song. So just like that understanding, like where we can market it on TikTok, and then it releasing, it is really good. So I think TikTok is the number one channel for songs to go viral right now. And then, when I put out some new music, my next single will be heavily promoted on TikTok.
Most definitely, man. I kind of be on the other side of it, man. Like, kind of, what is that feeling like? I think like, you kind of put all this time and like sweat and kind of, time into, producing content, right? So when you see it kind of just like catch fire and kind of like, you see all the love coming through, like, what is that like? What's your initial emotions kind of like when you see like it pay off?
Right. So it's crazy. Like when you see something like that just go viral, like randomly. I've had like two things that have gone like viral, like randomly, right? It's like things that you don't really suggest, or it's like suspect. I knew I had potential in that song, but who knew it was going to go viral on TikTok? I think it was really crazy because I was just seeing like people doing videos of their cat, people doing videos of their kids. Like there's like so many random interactions. So it was just cool seeing like videos and people doing things to a song that I made in my bedroom, So I think that's like the coolest part, just like that, just in that unity that it brings, and kind of like just the disbursement of energy. It's like, yo, I can create something in my bedroom and it's touching people across the world. Like that shit's crazy. Like, to me at least, it is.
It is, man. Kind of just even like kind of being new into like this content creation space, like to go from an idea to actually have it consumable, and like even just to see like one person do your stuff, you're like, damn, like someone actually like took the time to look at something I produced, like, which is, it's a crazy surreal feeling for sure.
Yep. It's one of those things where it's like, as an artist, like it's such a bummer when you don't get people to watch your music, right? And then, or listen to your music, or watch your videos, or create your content. It's a bummer sometimes, right? Because it's like, yo, I love this content. Like, why are more people not looking at it? And that's usually lack of marketing. It actually is. And then the second part is like, yo, it's just like, damn, like, you don't want to, like, you have such high thoughts of your product. So, when it does get that recognition, it's just like, damn, like, I knew it. Like, I knew it, I knew I was on the right path. Like, I can't believe it happened, So, it's just like, believing in your product, one, and then two, like, marketing it so you can get that fruition afterwards too.
Got it.
I
No,
don't know how many times I dropped marketing, dude. Like, I've probably said the word marketing in this video like 20 million times by now.
honestly, we might just have to rename it Marketing 101.
You dig.
Well, man. But no, kind of, I think want to tie back to like the early inspiration, right? So kind of like, how do you feel you've been able to be comfortable in your own skin, pursuing like this art, like, producing content, like producing music, right? And two, kind of like, did you have like a moment? Obviously, like, having videos go viral is kind of like a validation of like proof of concept, but like, did you ever have like that moment where you like internally knew, like, knew like, I'm good at this. I know I can do this. Like, did you have like those two moments, or like, did you have like that one moment in particular?
Yeah. Russ talks about this in his like book. It's like an audio book called I forgot what it's called, but it's Russ dropped the audiobook, and he calls it delusion. And I think I've been delusional all my life, which has been the the greatest thing that's ever happened. Where it's like, I was like 8 years old, and that's like the moment I knew I wanted to be like a rapper. Like, I knew I needed to be like, I wanted to rap. Like, I saw Eminem on a cover, and I was like, whoa, this guy can do it. I can do it too, right? So then I used to write raps, and I used to even like take like old Tupac raps and then change little words here and there, memorize them, and then rap them to my friends. And I feel like I used to go in this locker room. I think it was like freshman year in high school. I was 13, turning to 14, and I would like I would like rap these Tupac verses with my little modifications in it. People would be like, "Damn, bro, you can rap," and I think that gave me that little confidence. It was like, yeah, I can do it. Like, people can like what's coming out of my mouth, even though I didn't write the lyrics, but I had the little tonality down, the flow down. So
Right.
I think that was one of those moments. And then another moment was like, when Instagram that we had released a song called Instagram that it had gone. It didn't go viral or anything like that, but it had made a lot of impact. Like, people like organically. What was this before I knew anything about marketing, which I wish I knew about marketing at that time. Organically was getting thousands of plays on SoundCloud and thousands of plays on YouTube. The video's down on YouTube. I need to repost that hopefully soon. But that was like, whoa, like, we did something with this, and then kids were coming up to us that like random T spots and asking for our, like, here in Dublin, they were asking for our autograph, and I was like, this is crazy. So those two moments, it was like, after I released that song, I was like, wow, actually I could probably do this. It was the first time I felt like, wow, this can happen for me, and it was actually my first song I ever released too. So, and that's another thing. I don't know. It's crazy.
For sure. And kind of just like, I think the first part of the question was like, kind of like, how did you like maintain that level of conviction, right? Because obviously, I think in this space, I think obviously it's coming from like brown household and like brown culture. Like, I think it's definitely unorthodox. I think I'm sure there was a level of kind of maybe resistance or backlash or kind of just maybe insecurity and doubt. Like, kind of how did you kind of just overcome all of that and like still maintain that can do mentality?
So one thing is, though, my parents were 100% supportive of that song. They, like, my dad showed that video to everybody he knew. My dad's cool. My mom's cool. I'm so blessed to have them as parents. Like, that they've been always cool with like whatever I wanted to do. And I'm probably like a product. I'm just a direct product of my parents, man. Like, them just being cool with like, yo, whatever your dreams are, we're gonna let you do whatever you want to do. Um, I've been so blessed with like amazing parents like that. Like, I didn't get backlash from my parents, which was amazing, because I let them know like I'm serious about this. And dude, over the last like maybe 5 years, I've only released like 5-6 songs, right? Because like I've been doing music here and there, and I haven't really like taken it full blown. So like this project that I'm putting out now is actually the beginning of my career, and this is where you're going to see the marketing aspect take off. So people are going to look back at this interview that we're having right now, and they're going to be like, damn, he knew it from this point, that like he can probably do it, and he knows how to work the marketing. So Anybody watching this in the future, just wait.
You heard it here.
Yeah, man. You heard it here. Adi got the exclusive. First of all, people, this is my first video interview. I got a little text interview that someone emailed me on a magazine like years ago. That was the first one. But this is my first real video interview. All right. So we got something special here, Adi. Yo, fist bump. Let's go. Hey, you dig.
A more professional background for the second interview. We're in a pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
Dude, like when we first had this idea, I was like, yo, like you guys are like, gonna come here and like we're gonna like put like one camera here, one camera here, and we're gonna edit it. But this is cool too. I like it, man. Like Zoom, you can't go wrong with Zoom. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Hopefully, you know, as things kind of get better, we definitely can cook up more in person. But no, and man, we talked about adaptability. Time's still passing. Like we got to do something. Right? We can't just let this moment go by.
Yep.
So cool, man. So I think we got a chance to cover like the entrepreneurial side of Raj Stackz, kind of the music, what drives you, kind of like what do you feel like? I know you touched upon like this new project coming out. Like what's next for Raj in the next 3 to 5 years, or kind of just what's upcoming? I know we have the new project. Doesn't have to necessarily be a time frame, but kind of like what does the future look like?
Good question, man. So right now we're dropping this mixtape. I think it's called the prequel at this point. I don't know. I still haven't named it, even though it's coming out like in a week. I don't have cover art, anything like that. I'm still working on the track list, but it's gonna come out. So I think the number one, we're releasing that. I changed the name from Raj Stackz with an S to a Z at the end. So I have to re-upload the music on all these DSPs. So like your iTunes, your Apple Music, and Spotify, whatever. So I was like, hey, you know, what can I do to give something refreshing? So I'm gonna not only upload the classic songs that everybody loves and has heard before, but give 10 more songs after that. So that's actually 15 songs on the album. I've only released 5 songs in my career so far. So that's like double instantly, right? And then we're releasing a song with Tory Lanez called Book Bag, coming out I think 2-3 weeks from now. So we're gonna be really marketing that for the next 6 months. I got another project coming out. I don't have a name for that, but it's already done. And we're that, you know, the Tory Lanez song is gonna be like the #1 single for that. So I kind of wanted to future tensions as well. So this prequel album is more so like people, when they come from there, they'll be able to go back and listen to whatever I have out. And then, you know, we're going to just keep it going from there. I think that I'm going to go double down more on the comedy side for me. So you guys are going to see more comedy. Like you're going to see more freestyles that are comedic. You're going to see more videos that are comedic. You're going to see more collaborations that are comedic. I think I'm also going to make sure that, you know, we're going to still educate people at the same time. So I want to do these collaborations with A Game Media. I want to do these collaborations and bring light to, you know, the business side of things and give people freedom in terms of being their own boss. So that's something I want to do. But I think 3 to 5 years from now, I think we're going to be looking at someone completely different. Hopefully, if everything pays off and I get enough marketing budget in the short term, we'll be looking at something exponential in terms of just being able to, one, capitalize off the music, one, be able to capitalize off the business, and one, be able to capitalize off of the comedy side of things. So just adding a little bit of that. So we'll just see how it goes, man. I think it's so hard to plan 3 to 5 years from now because shit, I didn't even plan the day today. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but I know it's going to be strong. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. Definitely 10x only. It's a way of life.
10x.
Shout out to Grant Cardone, man. We love you over here.
Uncle G, I'll at your boy. You dig?
Definitely, man. Last but not least, Roger, a lot of gems from marketing and sales to being able to adapt, to, you know, being confident, being persistent. But what brings out Raj's A game? Like, kind of what allows you to perform at that level?
Good question. And I remember having this discussion about here before I answer that question as well. Like I remember like um, a year telling me about this. Where we were on like in San Leandro and we had a video shoot, and he was telling me about his vision for A Game and what he wants to do, which is like, give people the insight on like how they can be the best person themselves. So number one, I love that mission about you guys. Second, what brings out my A game is really just becoming the best me, the best version of myself that I can be, and just like hating when I'm not performing well, right? And just like being like, it's okay to be tough on yourself, like it's okay to be tough on yourself and be like, yo, I know I can do better and I know I should be doing better. So therefore I'm going to do better. So that me pushing myself, I bring out my A game by just pushing myself, and having a clear vision of my goals. So I think that my A game comes from, having that vision of my goals and what I want to accomplish and pushing myself into the future with that. And then anybody else that's listening to this who wants to bring their A game out, look, all you got to do is have a clear vision of what you want to do, right? Have a concrete vision of what you want to do and go for it. Make that commitment and just go for it, man, because you never want to be on the last day of your life looking back like, damn, dude, I didn't live up to my potential. I didn't do what I wanted to do in life. Anybody hating on you for being older or not the right person or something like that, fuck them. Be you. Do what you want to do. Don't be scared of being true to yourself. Just have a vision of what you want to do, and there's going to be adversity that comes with it. There's going to be hardship that comes with it, but just remember that if you keep on going, you will achieve your dreams, and that's all you need to do. You dig.
Much love, my brother. And last but not least, man, where can our followers and kind of folks listening in find you on?
Yeah, man, you can find me at Raj Stackz, RAJSTACKZ. It sounds weird. I've never said it out loud like that since I changed the name. On Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. And do your Googles. You dig.
Perfect, man. On that note, it's a wrap from here at the A Game Studio. It's a pleasure to meet my boy Raj. And yeah, stay
Yes, sir.
vibrations to come.
All right. Thank you, Adi. Nice having you, man. Or nice talking to you. Peace.